Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only
Where's the love? Right here on this podcast. Welcome to Love Drops, where your hosts and One Love ambassadors, Charles and Diane, will share love, hope, and inspirational topics taken from their journey and world events. We will also include on location recordings and special pop up guests from cool places all around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
Welcome to the Love Drops podcast. We're excited about our show today. Our guest is more than just a guest. He is also a friend. Diane, would you like to invite our guest?
Absolutely, and thank you, Charles. So today we have Brian Bachand. He is the founder of Evolution. He's a coach, advisor for leaders on a mission in their work, talent, interviewing, hiring expert, guy with the golden voice, keynote and corporate speaker, formerly a priest, say what? And he is the host of Soulfully Speaking. Without further ado, Brian, you have the mic.
Oh, Diane and Charles, thank you so much. This is such a joy to be with you. I love being in your energy. I love being in your presence. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you and with your audience.
Awesome. Brian, remind our audience where you are streaming in from. And also, we're going to dive into our subject, which is soulfully flowing. And boy, do we know how to do that.
That's right. I'm actually recording this or speaking with you from Switzerland, where I live in Geneva. I live in Geneva, Switzerland. But I'm like James Bond, I always say. I have three passports. I'm an American, Canadian, and Irish citizen, but I'm coming to you from Geneva.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Brian, like I said, we're talking about soulfully flowing. And so, kind of wanted to hop on some soulful nudges and, just share it with our audience because, again, your podcast is Soulfully Speaking, and you truly embody that title in your life, in the message that you just give to others. So let's talk about some soulful notes. How are you following those soulful notes and nudges in such a chaotic world, with everything just going a mass?
So, just to kind of go back to the title of the show that I found it called Soulfully Speaking. I remember the day that title came to me. I was outside and I was really, really trying to come up with something that resonated where I was. And it was this deep sense of I wanted to speak from the soul. And yes, we're fully human, and who we are and all our things, but the soul speaks first and the loudest. And, for those who are listening might be thinking, well, what does that mean? Soul, soul, you can substitute heart, you can substitute for spirit, whatever aligns. But it's that inner knowing, that inner sense that you just connected to something that's bigger than yourself or an intuitive insight. And so from where I am, I think what's so important is every day realizing, one of the things I do when I wake up in the morning is I always say a prayer, intention, however you want to call it. But I always say, spirit and soul, lead me in the direction of my highest and best for the day.
Yes.
And I think when you do that, it takes away this whole sense of trying to control all the stuff that's coming at you from the day-to-day practical things you have to do, like getting ready for work and going to the supermarket and paying those bills or all the news that's out there. It doesn't take away the things you have to do. But what it does, it aligns you to being focused on that there's something greater that's leading you forward. and to be aware of that. It kind of like, as a Boston boy who grew up in Boston where you had lots of snow, it's like the snow plows that used to come down the street. It clears the snow so you can drive with greater ease. It doesn't mean you still don't have to be careful, be aware, but it makes the pathway easier to navigate and flow and move forward.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Brian, one of the questions that I might ask, with your guests, what are some of the commonalities that you've experienced when you're talking with folks?
So, one of the things that I've experienced with when I'm speaking to either it's clients or individuals, I don't know, it must be maybe my energy or wherever it is. I find what draws them in is they're usually individuals that are professional or they're doing something in their life that has meaning, but there's an essence of a greater purpose, an essence of a higher consciousness. And I'm noticing that more and more and more of the people I meet, whether it's from the barista, in the cafe that I start talking to, that's talking about how they are doing this personal development work to grow deeper in their knowledge and gifts. Or it's a client that really is also doing some really deep discovery. That's all connected to that soulful sense that they're feeling that there's something drawing them forward. They're in tune. And when you're in tune to that, it raises you up that you want to be connected with others. And I think now more than ever, especially since the pandemic, there are so many more people that are in that space and energy. It's easier to connect. It's not like you're isolated. So I'm finding more and more people are talking about consciousness or goodness, or, they're looking at things with a different element of how it impacts at a deeper, heartfelt way.
That's so good. As you were speaking, I was thinking people are awakening to the soul nudges. That's how it kind of downloaded for me. And Brian, you are one who is really intuitive with your soul nudges, and you will take the chance and follow those nudges, even when it doesn't make sense, or even when they take you on a different path. So, kind of speak to our listeners how you recalibrate with your soul nudges.
So I love that. So soul nudges are just that. It can be that intuitive feeling. Soul nudges are not loud. They could be, and they can be if they need to really get your attention. But most times, heart nudges, soul nudges are gentle. It's either it comes to you with a thought that comes to your mind that just brings a peace. There's always a peace attached to it. There's never an anxiousness. There's never a fear. It just comes in with like, I need to call Diane, or I need to go do this, or a book comes to your mind that you're like, I should go pick that up. They're usually very peaceful. And what I've done over many, many years is leaned into them. So you build kind of knowledge. The more you lean into them, I know when it happens, I can feel it. I'm like, I got to do this. And I feel when you do it, it really always helps you to have a deeper sense of yourself or whatever you're seeking in that moment. It doesn't take away what you might have to work through. It doesn't take away that you may still be working through grief, or you're working through challenging situations or challenging personalities. But those soulful nudges help you know, A, you're not alone, and help you to receive information in a new way to help guide you. It can be also beautiful signs, that can pop up. I'm a real big believer in like angel numbers that show up for me all the time. Like it's just everywhere. 222, 1111. It can be all of a sudden you get a message from someone that really lifts your heart. You feel it. Soulful nudges never come with a sense of fear. They never come with a sense of you have to do this or you have to do that. It always comes with a sense of calm.
Yes, that is so good, Brian. I love that you said that, because it's like a choice. It gives you a choice, and it's not aggressive. And like you said, it may come a little bit louder if you miss it in your own chaos. in your own mind. A gentle tap, a little shake, little shove, to get your attention. But I love how you align it with peace. And that is so real. That's so real because even when you're going to do something that scares you senseless, right? But there is like this nudge and there's this peace that call you to it. It doesn't necessarily take that fear that you're having away, but it allows you to know it's gonna be okay. There's just like a peace in knowing that it is going to be okay. It's like take the step. I don't see a ledge. I don't see how. And I think a great illustration of you following a strong soulful nudge, and we talked about it last time, is when you decided to leave the priesthood and to do something that was calling your soul. So can you maybe share a bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes some people think, soulful nudges are when you're in a bad place, things aren't going well. I wasn't unhappy as a priest. Like, I was very gifted as a priest. I loved the lives I got to impact and where I was at, but there was something inside of me that wasn't aligned any further. I was stepping into my truth as a gay man. I didn't want to just be in a golden kind of life that, you couldn't be truly who I was. So my soul was leading me towards a greater sense of authenticity. And I think it was something that started with gentle nudges. One of the things that happened is that I started meeting people that were representing to me what my life could be, which was beautiful. And that was a gentle nudge to see that, wow, this could be a possibility, not getting caught up in the how and the where and the what, but being open to what could be. And I think I'm grateful that my soul was just really trying to lead me to a greater alignment and greater joy. And it wasn't a sense of abandoning my deep spiritual gifts, but it was a sense of elevating them and expanding them into a new way. And that's what my soul was seeking. It was beyond me. At 30 something years old, it was too scary of a thing to try and do on your own. So it was something much deeper inside that was gently calling.
Wow, now that is more than just a nugget. When we take that deep introspective look at ourselves and say, hey, there's more to me than this, that takes courage. That takes courage. And then when you find it and you share that with folks assertively, not aggressively, but assertively, getting it out there, that takes courage.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And just to say one thing too, that soulful nudge of, leaving the priesthood, that was something that took a long time to move on. It wasn't just like all of a sudden it was like going to do it. There was a lot of fear, there was anxieties, but I kept being open to it. I kept taking the right next action, the right sense. And what that did is it also showed me things started to flow. I'm a firm believer, if something is meant for you, you will never miss it. And the doors will open with ease.
Yes.
With ease. Doesn't mean you have to jump to your work, but it will flow with a greater ease. If things aren't working, things are going, not unlocking, you got to step away. Either it's just not the right moment, not the right time. There's still some healing. There's something else to go. So I'm a firm believer, you pay attention to what's flowing with ease.
That's so amazing because when Charles and I were called to go to Europe, we were called out of our lives, strong soulful nudge. Everybody thought we were crazy. So then we take the leap, but then nothing happens, right? So then you continue to follow the nudge. And what the nudge did is it took us around the whole of United States a couple of times, giving us all these different divine assignments. And eventually, we were able to hit that destination, but the journey in that nudge, right? And then the thing of it is too, is right before it was about to just burst open, comes someone along. Now, this is 10 years in. Maybe it was just a metaphor. Maybe you were not literally supposed to go to Europe and go to Paris and, just all of those things. And at that point, it didn't elicit anger or any other bad emotion. I just said, thank you for that. But I knew because the knowing was so deep. And from that time, within like 3 months, it opened up and we were there. I knew it wasn't a metaphor. Sometimes those soul nudges, like you said, are one step at a time. And sometimes they're a decade away, but you have to continue to follow the nudges. And when I look back on it, I wouldn't change anything because the people that we met and the experiences that we had getting there just made getting there even better. Does that make sense?
1000%.
Okay. And as you mentioned earlier, Brian, it wasn't easy. No one said it was going to be easy, but you had to take that nudge and move forward. As Diane and I have said any number of times, that, we can't change the course of the wind, but we can adjust our sails and continue to move forward.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Yes.
Just most recently, what has been like a soulful nudge that you have been feeling? It's a new year, and usually that's when a lot of people really feel nudges and pulls and things. So what's a nudge that you can share with us right now?
I'll share one of my nudges, and I was doing this right before coming on here today. And it just started at the end of 2025. But one of the things that I'm just feeling nudged, and I'm not going in with a plan about this. I'm not going into how does this work into a business and how do you do this? I'm not. I'm just having fun with it. Having fun with it is I went through the end of the fall a certification with someone I follow very closely online. I love her work, and it was about oracle cards and mediumship, something I've always done. And I went through a whole certification on that, and it was quite powerful for me. It was just kind of a reaffirmation of things. So one of the things I did is at the end of the year, I had some people I practiced with offering these sessions to. And just the other day, I said, you know what? I need to reach out to more people. I want to keep practicing this. And all I ask in return is some testimonials, because there's a nudge there. There's something inside of me that wants to offer this, because what I started seeing is when I do these sessions with people, the healing, the insight, the intuitive insights, how I feel. And so there's a nudge that I'm following. I don't have it all planned out. All I know is I have a list of people I'm reaching out to that I feel comfortable offering this to them, practicing, being open to it, seeing how I feel, the joy it brings me, and just letting it take its own course. I'm not trying to put it into a business plan, how I'm going to market it. I'm just having fun with it. So that's a nudge. It's a nudge to just be open to that. The second aspect is one of the things I've done is I've releasing resistance.
Yes.
I'm surrendering resistance. That's probably the biggest thing. 2025 showed me a big thing last year. It was so many times trying to figure out, I needed this to get this to get this. What I've been shown is things are going in a very different way with a greater flow and with a greater ease. The more I surrender the resistance, the more it will flow to me in love and ease, because it's coming from a different place. So that's a nudge for 2026.
Oh, I love that, Brian. I love it. And I love that you are following up on that nudge. I love your nudge to release resistance. I love that, because resistance is where we find our biggest challenges.
Yes.
Big time.
We cause it. We are our own block, with the resistance, instead of just allowing it. You have something that maybe will make you feel uncomfortable for just a moment, but you put so much energy in resisting that thing that it turns into a lot of moments, and sometimes a sickness and stressed out, when all you had to do was just give it a moment. It just wanted to flow through. And it wasn't comfortable, kind of like taking a shot or getting an IV or something like that. That prick is just, but when you have somebody fighting and resisting it, you might miss the vein, you might hit an artery. So I love that. And I just thank you for sharing that.
What you have said, Brian and Diane, is I was experiencing a lot of resistance, and other folks might have received it also, in not knowing not knowing how this is going to work. So there goes the resistance because I don't have all the ducks lined up in a row, so I stop. Well, all of them are not going to always align. But when you dig inside and pull that out and follow it, the pieces will fall into place. And
I agree.
Yeah, they have for Diane and I for a long time. We didn't know all the hows, but we knew why.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's beautifully said. And I think you're beautiful examples of that. And I think, for me, final point would just be when you come from a heart place, if you know what the value is that you want to create, then you don't have to know all the hows because it will just all come right in. It doesn't mean those nudges will come to you to help you figure out the how sometimes, and sometimes they come right in. But when you're in your head, I got to do this, it just creates more. So when it's coming from a heart place of like, okay, I know why I want to do this, I'm going to be open to it. It's usually that's when things start to flow.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Brian. And thank you so much for your time. It is non-refundable, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship. I mean, you and I and Charles are the example of how a podcast guest can become a very dear friend. And I think that that's one of the biggest reasons we're doing this, to make human connections and just connect and align and shine with people. And I'm so grateful to shine with you, Brian Bachand.
And I feel I shine brighter because of the friendship and the connection that we have as well. So it's a great gift.
Awesome. And I don't want to cut this show off without giving a shout out to the person that brought us together, and that is Nancy Gentle Boudry. Awaken the light. And yeah, she brings the light as well. And, I'm so glad for that connection. I'm glad for our connection. Thank you, listeners, for hanging in with us today on the show. We will put Brian Bachand's information in the links. Check him out. And if you have need of his services or want to listen to a really soulfully impacted podcast, just go check it out. Share the love, be the love, spread the love. If this has resonated, please subscribe and share. And as Charles and I always say, we sign off with one love.
Never a second will I waste, never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast. Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love. One love.
Love it conquers all. Love never fails.